see chat and see what's
Mhm.
happening sometimes. And every time I do it, the volume starts to kick in. So there's like a feedback loop that goes through. So I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure it out real quick before,
Oh, yeah,
I get
no,
that
I was
feedback loop.
actually just about to make sure that my phone wasn't gonna go off so we didn't have all these noises going.
I gotcha. Actually I should probably do that too. And for some reason, I don't know if we're live actually. So strange.
What are you going live on?
So we're live on YouTube right now. So
Okay.
we typically go live on YouTube and we go live on Twitch, but for some reason Twitch isn't updating. I wonder if something happened with it. Oh, it says I'm streaming. Again, so strange. There we go. All right, perfect. We got it. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, Miss Katee, how you doing? Did I lose you? I think I lost you. The second I get stream working, never ceases to fail. Miss Katee, are you still there?
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. The second we get it working, the second stream goes
I
live,
know.
yeah,
I know.
and we're ready to start. Boom. And that's the
I
only
know.
problem with running live stuff is because you run into some technical errors that you just can't can't
Yeah.
get past
I know.
sometimes.
It happens every time. It's gotta be something. Your phone dies, like something shuts off.
Something. I was doing one big interview with this guy named Dan Thurman, and we weren't talking about we were talking about some really cool stuff.
Mhm.
And Dan Thurman is a huge like internet personality. He's a spokesperson. He's a motivational speaker. He's a really cool guy.
That's awesome.
We just talked about for a split second towards the end of the show. We were like, we haven't had any technical difficulties. Like this is pretty cool. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
10 minutes
Right.
later, literally 10 minutes later, the stream shuts down. We
Yeah. Yep.
literally,
As soon as you
it,
say it. As soon as you say it.
we jinxed it. We jinxed
Yep.
it.
Mhm.
So, Miss
Happens
Katee,
every time.
how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. I almost was late because I was making my hot chocolate. I'm like a super big, coffee hot drink in the wintertime. So
Perfect. No, I
yeah.
am too. I honestly, like I said, like we were talking about before this started the podcast, this cold weather is kind of making me more appealed to the hot stuff, like hot cocoa or something like that.
Pumpkin spice. No.
Yeah. No, I'll leave that to my wife. She can
Yeah,
have that.
right.
I'm an avid coffee drinker, so I think it's the stimulation. It's not actually the
Yeah.
taste of coffee. I like to feel like I'm stimulated. Like it just
Oh,
helps me
totally.
make
Totally.
tasks easier, boring tasks. They come a lot
Mhm.
smoother. I don't know, it's nicer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I usually try to more stick to like teas and hot chocolate, because coffee, like you were saying, coffee is like a stimulator. So sometimes I'm going, 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 and then I'm going to sleep at like 2, 3 in the morning because I'm working all night long. So I try not to drink too much coffee, but
Yeah, I think that's my biggest problem is when I have coffee, I have to manage my schedule for when I drink it. So I can't drink it past 5 o'clock.
oh yeah, me same. Same.
Or else I am up all night, and
Yeah,
there's literally no point in laying down. Like I might as well have just stayed up all night,
right.
done something
Good
productive.
work then. Exactly.
So, Miss Katee, you're a holistic behavioral coach.
Well, actually, I was like, I know he's gonna ask me what I do. I'm probably gonna have me introduce myself. So I actually do a lot of things, because I have 2 master's degree, a bachelor's degree. I've been in and out of, clinical jobs. I've worked, like lower end jobs, not no offense to anyone, but you know what I mean? Just I've worked
Right, of
like
course.
all different areas basically. And like I said, in the clinical field, and then I've moved on the holistic field, but more as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I started being an entrepreneur last year, the beginning of last year. And I went through so many different businesses. You know what I mean? Just trying to start my own. I even was doing something with a dispensary, trying to do investing, all that. I mean, investing is great and all that stuff is really cool, but you just really have to be dedicated,
Oh, 100%.
and especially to investing. So basically, what I do is I'm all about helping people develop the right mindset to be successful in their life. So I'm not necessarily teaching you how to make money, or I'm teaching you how to get this great job, or you know what I'm saying. What I do is I help you identify things in your life that are kind of blocking you from like stepping forward, you know, making that next step into your entrepreneur world. Maybe you're in a job and you're like, I want to be an entrepreneur. You know, maybe you're really good at crafting or something. And I'm just there to help you get in that mindset of like your passion can turn into something that makes money. And you know what I mean? And that's really what I'm about. So when I say I do a lot of things, because I like calling myself a holistic behavior coach because I'm good at that stuff, you know, the
Right.
spiritual and the behavioral stuff. But I really like to help anybody just get unstuck, really. And there's a lot of areas that you can be stuck in, you know, like for example, I was stuck in this mindset that money was a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't spend money, or what's another I don't know, just all kinds of things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And basically what I taught myself was it's not about like going after the money, and it's not about being selfish. It's about giving back to everybody else, giving and being grateful, and then guess what? Then you're going to be blessed with you know, the
Right.
things that you
Yeah.
want. And then when you teach people that, and that's what I do, is I just teach people that, you know what I mean? And then when you're in that gratifying or grateful moment, and you're in the moment and you find yourself being like, wow, like this is why they tell you to live in the moment, and this is why they tell you, you know what I mean, to give it your all and be confident in what you do, you know, because it's all about your mindset.
Right.
So
So let me get to some of these comments real quick, and then we can
yes.
we can kind of dissect a little bit of that. So we have Randall in here. What's up, Randall? What's up, Matt? He said R.I.P. because of the stream earlier. What's up, Dell? Garen, hashtag Dream Team. What's up, Henry? Haven't seen you in a minute. I'm the only one that's allowed to be late. Yeah, you're right, Matt. I drink cocoa with my coffee. Oh, okay. I thought you drank water with your coffee.
Oh,
I
you
love you, Randall. He got me real good one time. He was on the stream, and so he's like, yeah, I put water in my coffee. I was like, dude, that sounds so weird. He's like, yeah, I have to brew the coffee, Dylan, with water. I was like, oh my gosh, that was like right over my head.
right, like duh, right?
All right. Cryptic. What's up, Henry? Redeem blink. I don't know if you caught that earlier, so I blinked for you. I gotta change that. I don't like that one. And then drone junkie. Oh my goodness, Matt. Um, I'm just chilling. Good, good. Hope everybody's night's going well. So let's get back to some of this holistic approach. How did you get involved with this? Are you more of a
So I don't know who's all like spiritual on here, and I don't mean like religion spiritual. I just mean like, you know, tapping into higher things spiritual. So I did what you would call like a Kundalini awakening. I don't know if you know what that is or what Kundalini yoga is, but I
I
started
think
getting into that because I was already in the behavioral field. And when I was in that field, I was really uncomfortable with the way that they did their programs. I was really uncomfortable with the way the assessments were done, you know, just how the kids were handled. And I have a big heart for kids, no matter, basically up until the age of like 21. You know what I mean? That's what I worked with. And I just saw how every single child was individual. You know, they were so different in their own way that like, how was I supposed to use one book to fix, you know, all these kids, or
right.
use this one sheet or whatever, go back and use that to work on these kids, when I in my head already knew what I had to do. I mean, and I'm talking about not just from school, but like my instincts, like this is what this kid needs to work on. And I was extremely successful with my kids. I didn't use books. I was really bad at, you know, it's all about in science, it's all about data and research. And I love science. I do. I think it's great, but you can't always mix spirituality and science together. But I did. That's where the holistic behavioral comes from, is because I take that behavioral, you know, sciencey somewhat approach, And then I also use my spirituality, my what you would call my intuition, I would say, and I bring those two things together to help people that, you know, like I said, from the behavioral side, I'm just genuinely really good at that. I'm really good at studying behavior. I'm really good at understanding people's body language, you know, if you're nervous, if you're lying, you know, like all those things. And the holistic side, it just enhanced that. It just enhanced the ability for me to make sense more of the world and make sense of how, like, what manifestation means and what and how money isn't necessarily a thing, it's more of a thought, you know. That's, we can go into more stuff on that,
Okay.
but that's basically what the holistic and the behavioral come from. So it takes everything that I've learned in school and just observing, you know, and then my spiritual side and intertwining those two together, and then just teaching and hoping people will pick up on those, you know, they can take it whichever way they want to take it.
Right.
So.
What do you mean by spiritual side?
So my spiritual side, so what I meant, remember when I said I had a Kundalini awakening? So
Right.
Kundalini yoga, I'll explain that really quick. So maybe it'll make a little bit more sense. So in Kundalini yoga, it's not just about your posture. It's not just about your breathing, you know, it's your posture, it's your breathing, it's the mantra, it's all of those things together, and you meditate while you're doing yoga, you know. So it's the mix of the two, and it's the most intense form of yoga. It's the one that really, when you're really trying to get to a good place in your life, you use this kind of yoga to basically awaken yourself. And that's what I did. And in Kundalini, with the mantras and the meditation, and like I said, I don't know if people believe in this stuff, but you know, things just started to come to me. Like I started seeing visions. I started, like, I'd ask for things, or I'd think about things and they would like appear, or I would think about people, you know what I mean? People that I need to connect with, and people would be people are reaching out to me like left and right. And I'm, you know, like I'm buying things I never thought I'd buy. And you know what I mean? It's the spiritual side is really like, it's not something that you can see. It's not something that you can really, that you have to get, it's your inner self. And it's almost like something that if you don't have an open mind, you can't be open to it, you know? So I hope that explains it a little bit. It's kind of hard to explain. I mean, because everybody experiences it differently. Some people will actually see like visions or things will, you know what I mean? Just everybody experiences so much differently. And things just happen to either get said, or it comes through different people, and I've been extremely successful with just doing that. So
Yeah, I mean, I've had my own experiences, and they haven't been through Kundalini yoga or anything like that. They've been more how do you say this? Recreationally induced. So
yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, so you know, I've had my own experiences where I've dealt with things, or I've seen things in some practices recreationally. So
oh yeah, you're talking about like smoking, like, or something, or like drugs. Okay,
yeah,
I got
drug induced. I mean, that's all in the past, guys. Don't do drugs, kids. I love you all.
Right.
Daydreams does not endorse
That's straight
drugs.
Edge, right? Isn't that what that means? Like, no to drugs.
Say no to. This is the Dare program.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys in chat are old enough to remember Dare program.
Right. Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Got that away with, right?
Oh my goodness. I think it did more harm than good, to be honest.
Yep.
So I think statistically it actually did more harm than good. I don't think that's an intuition kind of thing. Wes says DMT.
The worst thing is that you'd have the Dare instructor come in, don't do drugs, and then he goes out and smokes a cigarette, and you're like, bro, you just told us not to smoke a cigarette. Now you're out here puffing out.
That's what Dell's saying. His ass was high at.
Oh gosh, man, come on now.
Really, but they're great. Guys, we do not endorse drugs on here. We do not control what you do in your own time.
Right, of course not.
You guys do what you want to do. We do not endorse drugs on here. Let's see. Randall Travis says, what are your thoughts on mindfulness meditation?
Oh, that is, so mindfulness meditation is actually very similar to Kundalini, because it makes you, I believe it is, because mindfulness, mindfulness is in the moment, right? You're in the moment. You're not thinking about anything else but what is going on in that specific time. So when you're doing mindfulness meditation, you really, meditation is mindfulness. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah.
if you're not doing you're not doing a mantra, you're not singing or dancing, doing a dance meditation, then that's more considered mindfulness, when you're just sitting there, like, like at a prayer pose, or have your hands in a certain way, things like that. But really, I mean, I think mindfulness meditation is the best out there, because you are in the moment, and that's how you're supposed to be all the time, so if you can be in the moment all the time, then you've mastered, like, getting into your higher self at that point. If you're able to get through your life and not be distracted by your thoughts, or be able to sit down for 30 minutes and be in that moment, that's perfect. That's great mindfulness, even if it's only for 20, 30 minutes, 5 minutes to start.
Yeah, I got to the point to where I would try to meditate, and I really actually need to get back on it because it's a really great practice to control your focus. And what I noticed was it's incredibly hard to actually sit down and focus on one thought, or not
Yeah.
focus at all for
Yep.
any span of time. And what I started to realize is, how this related to like ADD, or people with attention
Yep.
deficit disorder, or people with even deficits in IQ, where I
Yeah.
would think, what if this is just an issue with maintaining where you relay your focus? Like, if you can't control where you're focused and you're having a conversation with somebody, then you
Yep. Of
can't
course.
you can't seem to gather all the necessary information.
Yeah.
So that's where I really started to try to develop myself, is with meditation, and I have to get back on it a little bit, is controlling your focus, and
Yeah.
controlling that awareness aspect and where you put your mind. There was actually a point in time where I it was the weirdest sensation, I kid you not. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it was one of the weirdest feelings I ever had. And if anybody else in chat has had this feeling, let me know. But it was where, like, I was almost like a third person.
Yeah.
I was a third person, but I wasn't meditating at all. It wasn't something that I was meditating. It was like it
You don't
almost
have
felt,
to be. Hmm.
but it almost felt like a bad thing. It almost felt like I wasn't in control of myself, and I
You were
was just,
uncomfortable. Yeah.
yeah, I was sort of just watching myself as I just played through. And I wasn't on drugs. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I wasn't
Yeah.
doing anything at the time.
Yeah.
I was, it just felt like I wasn't in control. It was like this decentralization of who I was. And I just felt so weird. I was
Hmm.
driving one day, and I remember just recollecting that, you know, am I driving? Like,
Yeah.
who is this driving? Like, I know
Yeah.
this sounds weird, guys, but
No, not to me.
it felt so odd. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can explain that. I don't know.
Well, okay, so if this, like I said, I don't know what everybody believes out there, because okay, when I talk, I'll just say this real quick. When I talk about things, it's only because I've experienced it, or I know somebody that's personally, that I know they're not lying, that's told me they've went through this, or you know what I mean? Just
Right, right,
I'm,
right.
I'm never going to say anything just because I believe it, and you know what I mean? It's because I've actually experienced it. I'm going to tell you what I think. um so as far as like that goes, in spirituality, they believe, and a lot of people believe, that some of us are healers, some of us are, can see things that people can't see, some of us have these like superpowers, you know what I mean, where we can hear things that you don't think you're supposed to be hearing, your ears right, you know what I mean, just funny stuff like that. Or the belief, or like if you go in between poles or something like that, and it's like bad luck, just silly things like that um a lot of people believe in. And it's actually, and it can be validated, you know what I mean, like I said, as long as if you can experience it. But for some people, like I said, you don't even have to be in a meditative state. But if you are, like I was just talking about, if you are in the moment at any point in your life, you have the ability to still see we would call like what reality is. Do you know what I mean? Because what I believe is everything that we see around us is not really what it is. You know what I mean? Like we are
Right.
creators of everything. So I think that if you ever get in a point in time where you are able to be mindful, and like I told you, you don't have to be in it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You can be in it for 30 seconds to 5 minutes. And all of a sudden you're like, you kind of like wake up,
Mhm.
like you were saying, when you're driving down the road and you're like, and you get to your destination and you're like, how in the world did I forget how I got here? And it was like 20 minutes. I know you've had that, right?
Right.
Where
Yeah.
you like you've driven and you're like, what? Like, how did that happen?
Right. You kind of
And
zone out.
yeah, and it's because that's what, if you, like I said, if you believe in this stuff, like that's what your higher self, if you allow it, it can take control in a good way and in a bad way, if you know what I mean, depending on which way you curve it. So when you saw that, when you were in that experience and you were a more, you kind of tapped in more into your spirituality, like for you, for example, because you experienced that, you might actually start experiencing more things because you're opening a door for yourself. Like that to me sounds like you already opened a door. If you've meditated in the past or you've done yoga before, you've already tapped into it. It's already open, it's awake. You know what I mean? Like it's ready for you to give all your love to your soul. And like I said, once you open that door and you open up your higher self, it's going to keep trying to talk to you in some way.
Right.
So that could have been a moment where your higher self could have been trying to speak to you in some way, shape, or form. Like, I don't know if something happened to you in those days, or maybe you were just, something was going on, you could have been more anxious. Like, if you're really anxious or if you have a huge event coming up, like actually those, that can cause you to, you know what I mean, to kind of just get out of it. And um when that happens, and then you tap into your higher self, it actually helps balance it. You know what I'm saying? does that
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah. What do you mean by creator and higher self? What do you mean by?
So if what I mean is, you are yourself, you are the creator of what you have in your life. So I believe that what you put out there is what you give, and I believe that every situation, every conversation, you start to create, you know what I mean, you're always creating. So if you were to stop and take a moment, and like something really simple is like making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right?
Right.
You're creating something. Like you are creating that peanut butter and jelly. That's super basic, super silly, but that's what I mean by you are the creator. And I don't mean like, oh, you're God, you're, you know what I mean? That's not at all what I mean. What I mean is that if you're putting out any sort of positive, you're going to have a positive life. You know what I mean? And if you create, you constantly are creating good relationships, constantly um building relationships with people that maybe have felt, you've lost in the past, or, parenting, anything that you can think of that you have in your life, your job, bringing positive feelings in your job, the car you drive, all that stuff. You have the opportunity to create a positive life for yourself in every moment.
I actually somewhat agree with that. There's for the longest time I've had the epiphany that you know we're put on this earth to do something.
Hmm.
Every single one of us, we're put on this earth to
Of
do
course.
something, and in the Bible specifically, and I'm just going to talk about the Bible. This
Totally.
isn't a reference to other people's religion or anything, but anything like that. But one of the first scriptures is Genesis, and it talks about
Yep.
how God spoke and He created the world, and we're made in that image. And I think it's just something to do with our psychology that I think that is sort of interpreted into us that we're here to create. We're made in God's image. However, when you read
However
that,
you want to view it. Right. Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
Mom, I know you're in here, so let me get your input because I know you could probably got something to say. But I do believe that there is truth to that. I think that we're here to create, not to replicate. And
Right.
I
That's
think
a good
that
way. Yeah. That's a good thing. Yeah.
I
Totally.
think that that's important, especially when we're talking about creating a life for ourselves. Now we're out of the spirituality part. I think we're into the more objective reality where we're talking about, what kind of life do you want for yourself? Where do you
Yeah.
want to go? Like, what do you want to do with your life? Where do you see
Yeah.
yourself in 5 years?
Mhm.
And what do you want to do with yourself, and how do you want to get there?
Yeah, picturing yourself in that moment, all that, like, basically to get there, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and
see yourself in that house, in that Lamborghini, and that, with white picket fence house or whatever.
right, and I mean, whatever that is, I mean, hopefully
Mhm.
it's aligned with good values. I mean,
Right.
it could not be at a certain point, but I think that that's part of the reality, right? I think that's
Yeah.
part of what makes us human, and what actually ties us into, our spiritual self, is that ability to create.
Yeah,
You know, I
exactly.
think one of the images, or one of the main things that I used to get when I would meditate, and I still get them when I try to go to sleep,
Mhm.
is, Mom, I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I would, so if I would close my eyes and I would sit there and I would just try to not focus on anything and just instead focus on what the images that come to my head. Everybody
Yep.
can do this. Everybody can do
Yeah,
this. You can
totally.
you can literally close your eyes and just let yourself kind of, your brain take over, and your brain will start to generate images, and there start to be images behind your eyelids. And
Yeah, definitely.
one of those images I actually had Jordan draw. She's in the stream right now, so thank you, Jordan. So it was really cool to see my creative side come out, and it was almost
Definitely.
like I was, my brain was just like receiving these thoughts. It was like, it was weird. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's why I said, other people say it's your mind. I say it's your higher self. You know what I mean? Other people say it's God. Other people say it's Jesus. Everybody had Buddha, whatever you want to say it is, that's okay. I'm never saying don't believe in God or God doesn't exist, because God is everywhere. Like, God, if you believe, you know what I'm saying, if you believe in that. And I'm not saying like a being, I'm saying like as in the universe. And you know what I mean, it's love. It's like you were just saying, if you're valuing your life and you're putting out that value, to everybody else, that's what God wanted. So if you are religious and you do believe in God, that's okay, but as long as you live your life in that way and not judgmental. And there are great things that come from the Bible, but there's also some very fearful things that come from the Bible, and that's why it's hard, because people just interpret that differently. I'm not trying to go too far into that, because
oh,
that's a
you're okay.
whole nother
You're
ball
okay.
game.
Of course, of course.
Um,
And actually, that's why I respect my mom, who I think is still in the chat. Mom, if you're still here, let me know. I respect her a lot because, typically when people talk about the Bible or religion, they
yeah,
kind of nitpick certain things.
right,
They
exactly.
nitpick
Exactly.
certain parts of the Bible,
Yeah.
and or whatever religion, whatever it is.
Yeah, right. Whatever you follow,
Yeah,
right.
whatever religion it is, they nitpick whatever specific thing that they choose to believe.
Yep,
And
exactly.
what's interesting about my mom, and Mom, I love you, and I love you to death, and this is why I respect her so much, is because she has not only like she like reads it to a T. She reads the Bible to a T, and like
Yes.
I
Yes.
kid you not, she is like probably one of the most consistent people I know across the board with. And I'm not just saying that because she's my mom. So,
No,
Mom,
right. No, right.
I
It's so
respect.
good.
I'm not saying that just because she's my mom, but I'm legit. Like, she's been a great example. Like, she's like, if every
Yeah.
problem that people have with religious people, my mom is like not that. It's so
That's
weird.
awesome.
It's
That's
so
great.
weird.
Yeah,
Uh,
because she takes it in a different way, and she uses that as, a way to be grateful and loving, and that fulfills her heart every day, and I totally respect that. Whatever fulfills you and fills your heart, and you know what I mean? And I'm sure she taught you some great things from reading that every day. Like when you get some really good things out of the Bible, it's beautiful and it's lovely when you take the love out of it.
right,
And believing that we talk about being a creator and being a teacher to other people when you've found that.
right. Mom, I'd love to know your input. Go ahead and put it in chat. Um, let's see. Let's get back to some of these comments real quick. 'Cause got
I
a
know
little
I can't
sidetracked.
see them, so I don't know if anybody's asking anything.
You're good. You're good. We got Sammy in here. He said, "Hey, what up, man? Got off work in time for the show. What's up, Sammy?" Let's see. Wes says, "I know where we got Daydreams from now." Daydreams with Dylan do drugs. That's not what I said, Dell. I love you. That's not what I said. Let's see. LMAO. How else? I do it all the time. I had a doctor tell me not to smoke, and as I was leaving, he was outside smoking a cigarette. Oof. What are your thoughts about silent meditation retreats?
Silent meditation retreats. I have not gone on one yet, but actually, I'm glad that you asked me that as well, because I am looking into going on to a retreat in India next year in February. It's actually, and it's not a silent retreat, but a silent meditation retreat. I'm gonna tell anybody this: when you're signing up for any sort of meditation retreat, just be prepared to remove yourself from anything that was like going on right now. You know what I mean? So meditation retreat is pulling away from technology. You're starting fresh every day. And the silent meditation, you just have to be prepared to shut the world off, if that makes sense. Because silent meditation is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. If you're somebody who has a lot of thoughts going on, if you're not a mindful person, you're not in the moment person, those types of things are going to be difficult for you, because you can't just go into meditation and sit there and then just not, and then boom, it's going to happen for you. You know what I mean? Or be silent. So if you're somebody that's practicing it, pretty consistently, and you feel pretty comfortable meditating for, like, I would say at least an hour, in silence, then I would definitely say on going on something like that. But as far as, like, if you're not really, you're not into that yet, or you're just getting into it, I wouldn't recommend that at first. I would recommend doing more of a group like meditation, just to learn, you know what I mean? Like, learn the basics and learn maybe some mantras, because that's how I started doing silent, is because I had to do mantras first to shut my mind off. And then once I started repeating those, I said them out loud, and then I said them quietly, and then I said them less and less, and then it just, like, then it releases. And you'd have to meditate to know. I can't explain it very well, but
So what do you do during a silent retreat? What is a silent retreat? Like, what do you?
A silent retreat, I'd have to look into that a little bit more, because like I said, I haven't been to one. I know of them. I know of one. Most of them I know of are in India, because of, like, Sadhguru. I don't know if you guys have heard of him before. I've followed him for a while. But a silent retreat is meant for you. Like I said, you're getting yourself cut off from the world. A silent retreat is meant for you to literally be mindful in that entire moment that you're there. So you're not there to socialize. You're not there to sleep. You know what I mean? You're there to literally learn how to be mindful and to be at peace in silence. So that's, like I said, that's what I'm saying.
Sounds rough.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna be honest. That sounds really rough.
Yeah, and people really think that that's easy to get into, but it's not. It's very, very hard to shut your mind off. You can't just, okay, you know what I mean?
Right.
Think about it. You shut your mind off for 30 seconds. Okay, cool. But then think about one thing, like a microphone. You're gonna think about a podcast. You're gonna think, you know what I mean? And then it just keeps going.
Yeah, actually, so that kind of brings me. Did you ever get into sensory deprivation tanks? You ever tried one? Okay, those are weird. I'm gonna be honest. If anybody's ever tried one in chat, let me know what your experience is. But I've tried one, and they are
yeah, tell me about
awkward. Have you ever heard of spiritual? Sensory dude, I can't talk. Sensory deprivation tanks.
I have, but I don't really know much about them. So
okay, so you would probably like them a lot.
Yeah.
And honestly, so what it is, you can find some pretty much in any big city. So
okay.
It's basically a tank. It's like a pod that you hop into with like so much salt that's dissolved into the water that you can literally just float on it. Like the density of the salt in the water is just, you could float on it. So it's supposed to be this experience that cuts off all your senses, where you lay in it, close your eyes, it's a dark room, there's no sound. Once you lay in the water, it's about body temperature. So once you're in there for about like 10-15 minutes, that like you pretty much don't feel anything after that.
Wow.
So I mean, your smell becomes pretty habitual, so at that point you don't smell anything, and so you don't see anything, you don't hear anything, you don't feel anything, you don't taste anything, and your brain just kind of kicks into overdrive trying to compensate for all those sensory input.
Wow.
So it starts to create these, I guess, images or this meditative state at an accelerated rate. So if anybody's ever done it, tell me your experience in chat. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna have to try that now. I'm like, wait a second, this definitely sounds interesting.
I highly recommend it. It's honestly very therapeutic. Okay, so if you have a fear of claustrophobia, probably not for you.
Yeah. Right.
If you don't like dark spaces, probably not for you. The first 10 to 15 minutes is really awkward because you get some of these weird thoughts in your head, like just weird out there thoughts, like is something gonna come up from the water? You know, I kid you not, these are some of the thoughts that I had. Like,
a snake in here?
Yeah, it's just some awkward, weird thoughts that your brain starts to have because it's compensating. And you're just laying there and you're just letting your senses kind of take over. And about after 15 minutes, you start to kick into all right, what my to-do list is. You know, what's my to-do list? You know, did I take care of that task? Oh, shit, I forgot about this. I forgot about that. You know, all your worries start to kick in. Then, you know, about 30 minutes in, you start to level out.
Yep.
And you just kind of deal with it. Just into that meditative state. Kind of nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'll definitely have to check that out.
Highly recommended it, anybody.
Yeah.
Highly recommended. I'm gonna get to some of these comments real quick. So we have let's see. Dell saying, "Hey Sammy," my mom saying, "Wow," at Randall. Dark and cramp, not for me. That's a comment that just popped up. We have Jordan's joining the chat with hearts. Randall saying, "Hi, Jordan." Right, I know what it's like, pretty scary. And that was a comment that came back while we were talking about dissociation. Everybody drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hi, Garen. I had a dream that I got on my wheelchair and ran a marathon. Let's get it. Let's get it, buddy. That's you're manifesting that. That's what that is. Yeah. We have it, man. It depends on the situation and what happened prior to the experience. Because, like I said, you may have been dissociating and something triggered that. Could have been with the depersonalization thing. Hey, Miss Katee, if you wrote a book, I'd buy it. This is super fascinating. That's from Wes on YouTube.
Oh, thank you. I actually, you know what's really crazy that you say that? I am actually thinking about writing a book. So
more inspiration there.
Yeah. Well, my fiance is like, "Babe, why don't you just write a book?" And I'm like, maybe I should write a book, you know?
Maybe, why not?
Write a book.
So we have Randall saying, never mind Bradley. I believe God brought me to your show, Dylan, to uplift my spirits for physical therapy. Randall, I feel like Randall, I fucking love you, man. I love everybody in this chat.
I love you too.
We love you, Katee.
Right.
Randall, I love it. It's seeing your incredible story. I love seeing how much you've been able to take a step, how far you've been able to walk, how, we've been following his physical therapy journey for a while now, ever since he came to the show, through my cousin Bradley. And, he's had his ups and downs, but the fact that he is still stuck with it is absolutely incredible. And Randall, I just want to say 100% without a doubt, I love you. And I love each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you so much. We have Alex saying, "Why you play Yoshi? You make me want..." Yoshi's good, dude. Him and I were playing Super Smash Bros. Earlier, so that's a side comment.
Yeah, I definitely love Smash Bros. Girl.
We got Dell saying dark and cramped, not for me, talking about the sensory deprivation tanks.
Oh yeah, not for everybody.
Let's say, TC, what's up, dude? Let's go. I fucking made it. Finally, I made it. Let's go, Dolan. Absolutely fantastic to see you. You know, I haven't actually seen you since your episode. So I freaking love you, man. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And with the sub, I freaking love it. Thank you, Costa. Let's get it. Everybody, shout out.
You got all these people joining you. That's amazing.
I know. It's just so much love, guys. Just so much love.
Great.
Everybody, let's get some hype in the chat for Mr. Costa. And if you have not already on Twitch, if you have not followed him, go drop a follow on his channel. He does some really great Apex gameplay. Highly recommend it. Top tier. Go check him out. He's gonna be the next big Apex streamer. I like hands down. That's it. Let's see. Wes saying this podcast is way better than the WAP podcast.
Oh geez.
Yeah. Okay. So we had an episode where everybody was trying to get me to do the WAP, and let's just say I'm not a dancer. I am not a dancer at all.
You couldn't even get me to do that. I'm not down for that.
Well, so on Twitch, you have the ability to redeem channel points. Channel points are accrued over the span of time through watching the show. And someone redeemed 20,000 channel points for me to do the WAP, and
oh man.
My mom was in the podcast, and I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it.
Oh no. No, I couldn't either.
Oh
no.
yeah.
It would be my grandma for me. Oh my gosh. I'd be like, nope, can't do it.
Let's see. Randall's saying, I love you too, Dylan. I love you too, Katee. Much love to Katee. Guys, if you have not already, go drop a follow on. Are you mainly on Facebook?
Yeah, I actually I am right now, but I'm building my YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff. So I'll give you, I can give you all that. But
yeah. So by the end of the stream, let's make sure we grab that, so that way everybody can just go show some love on your profile and drop a follow, because that's what we're all about here at Daydreams.
Website up. I have a new website up too, so I can send you that as well. I just finished it yesterday, so
perfect.
I'm super excited about that.
Perfect. I love it. Dolan saying, dude, I love you. I'm sorry I couldn't get here earlier. Finally got a day off. Dolan, honestly, the motto here, and I love each and every one of you. I don't listen. I know we're taking a sidestep from the conversation, but I'm gonna be honest, life comes first, guys. I understand that, the podcast to me is important, and I love you guys each and every time you guys tune in. And that means so much to me, as is. You guys could be doing a million other things right now. You guys could be literally, working on homework. You guys could be, you better get that homework done, guys. You guys could be playing games. You guys could be watching other streamers. The fact that you guys are here right now supporting Daydreams and our guests is just incredible to me. And, I will never for a second get mad at somebody for telling me that life is busy and they're caught up with life. Listen, life comes first, and that's our motto. That's what we'll always be saying from the day we are incepted to the day we die. That's it. So, let's see. Randall saying #Dream Team, heart. That WAP was kind of dry. Costa, much love. LMAO from Wes on YouTube. Let's see. Dell with the hearts. Dylan told me to be here or else. Dell, that is only for you because, much love to you. What's up, Randall? Jordan here too. Hey, Mr. Know-It-All. Okay, logging off of Daydreams to watch Ninja. Well, tell them about Daydreams. When you get there, say #Daydreams, Wes. That's all I need, okay? Maybe if we can get Ninja on the show one time. Love you, bro. Glad I could step in. I appreciate it, bud. At least you tried the WAP. All it's about. All it's about. Okay, so back to the conversation. Now that we're all caught up on chat. Sorry about that detour.
Okay.
Sorry about that detour. So, back to spirituality and I guess what makes someone's life meaningful, I guess. want to talk about that, where do you sit with people that are atheists?
Um, I think so when I hear a person say I'm atheist,
Yeah.
right? My question is, okay, if you're atheist, you don't believe in anything, right? You believe, just give me tell me if I'm wrong, because this is how I break this down. Atheist means you don't believe in anything. You don't believe there's God, you don't believe there's devil, you don't believe there's spirits, there's a higher self, right? You don't believe in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So any what I don't understand, okay, this is hard for me to answer this because
No, it's okay. It's
I've
okay.
met I've met several atheist people in my life that I have been friends with, right? I've been friends with them in the past, but for some reason they still believed in like evil, like demonic stuff, but they didn't believe in God. So I was like, that's not atheist, right? I don't think that's atheist.
Yeah.
So when I did over time, I determined, okay, that's not atheist. That's you believe in something, like obviously, you know what I mean? But atheist means you don't believe in anything.
More of
And
selective belief.
yeah, right. And anybody else besides them, the other side, the people that don't believe in anything, they just believe we're going to die and then rot in the ground. And they are fearful of death, right? Most of those people that I have met, their biggest absolute fear in this life, which most people's is death. But if you are a more awakened, like comfortable person with yourself, like as far as um believing that positivity brings you goodness, brings good things in your life. I don't think, going back to the atheist part, why I said that is because I don't think that people who consider themselves atheists, they don't believe in that type of life. Like, I don't think they believe in like bringing on positive and bringing, being grateful and not even just faithful. I'm talking about being passionate about things, because a lot of people, like I said, that I've met personally that are atheists, they have some fear like holding them back for something. You know what I mean? It's just something. They have some sort of fear, and that's what makes them, or they've had traumatic experiences where religion is just bred onto them. So it's like only God can fix that, right? Not you, not a doctor or a therapist, but like, God can fix it. So if God can't fix it and God doesn't fix it, I don't believe in God anymore. That's usually what happens. Like, I mean, I'm saying that's always what happens, but in my personal experience, like I said, I speak from my own personal experiences. You know, people, they don't believe in God. Something bad happens, and the traumatic, or constantly bad negative things keep happening all the time. I'm going on a different tangent here, but this
That's
is
okay.
just
Yeah, go ahead.
but going negative things happening all the time, then you probably are going to believe that there is nothing after this, or you probably aren't going to believe in a lot of like happy spiritual things, because it's, you know what I mean, there's just that blockage right there, and you're not letting yourself expand other horizons, and maybe fear of change, you know what I mean, or just relate. It can be so minuscule. But basically what I'm saying is that I don't think that atheists are very open-minded people. And I have a hard time getting along with people who are atheists, because I think it's important to be open to something. You can't just say I'm going to die and then just go be in the ground. I can't be okay with that. You know,
No,
I've experienced too much and I've seen too much that I cannot say no, ghosts don't exist or spirits don't exist, or your higher self or souls or whatever it is doesn't exist. Like, that's just, I can't say that. I could never say that now, and it would be hard for me to talk to somebody that's like that, because I feel like what are you so closed-minded for? Like, why can't you be more open-minded about what life could be about? So
I agree to an extent, and there's there's some valid arguments from an
oh,
atheist.
I'm sure there is. I'm
There's
sure there
for
is.
spirituality in against major religions. For one, it's um the fact that a lot of religions have been used to create atrocities, and they've been used to justify actions. And for me, I think that that's a poor argument. In it,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's a valid argument, but it's a poor
yeah.
argument because you don't just say just because someone did something in the name of something that makes that something bad. I know that that's a really bad,
No,
answer to that, but
but
just because there's, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but just because someone did something in the name of, say I went and I did something bad or illegal and I said I did this for Nintendo. I did this for Fortnite or something like that. People aren't going to
yeah,
automatically assume Fortnite's bad because I did this for Fortnite, and Fortnite itself is not bad. Nintendo
yeah.
itself is not bad. Just because
Mhm.
I did this in the name of Nintendo or Fortnite does not mean that Fortnite itself is bad. So I think that's a poor argument. Now, the evidence, I think when atheists think that there's a lack of evidence for
Yeah,
for
definitely.
spirituality, I think
Yep.
that's another valid argument. However, it's subjective, and
Yeah, of
the
course.
evidence itself is meant to be subjective. And
Mhm.
here's the argument I have for that. It's, in a room that's hot or cold, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what the temperature is. If
Yeah.
you feel it's hot in this room, objectively, I'm saying it's actually 60 degrees. That's a relatively cold temperature. We can argue, we
Mhm.
can debate about whether or not it's hot or cold. But it doesn't matter how you feel about or what the actual temperature is. It matters how you feel about that actual temperature. Because
Exactly.
that actual temperature is what's going to dictate your exact actions. You're going to take off a sweater if it's too
Mhm.
hot for you. Even if it's 60 degrees and you're telling me that that's relatively hot or cold, doesn't matter. And so that's where I have issues where atheism is because it doesn't lie in subjectivity. It places too much emphasis on objectivity.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and like I said, it is you putting a label on yourself or some sort of stigma, I think, on yourself too. I don't like to call myself anything. I don't like to call myself, you know what I mean, atheist. I believe in God or this or that. I just like to say that I'm an open-minded spiritual person that believes in creativity and you know what I mean, and that following your passion is going to make you a happy person. That's basically what I tell people. You know what I'm saying? So,
right. And I think the other thing is, for me, at least being a psychology major in,
yeah, I did too. Mhm.
studying, how people behave, I think people's actions are easier to change, or sorry, people's beliefs are easier to change than their actions. And I think that that's where cognitive dissonance comes in,
Yeah.
is in relation to religion. And I'm not saying anything against, atheists. I know a lot of great atheist people out there. I know a lot of great religious people out there.
Yeah.
But one of the examples and one of the reasons why I see people switch over to atheism is because of a lack of switching their behavioral set. I'm not saying that this is a reason
Mhm.
for people to switch to religion. It's not what I'm saying
Right.
at all. I'm just, this is what I've seen. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that can also kind of be argued in a sense as far as like the action and the belief system because I actually believe that if you don't change your belief, you can't change your behavior because you it's a subconscious thing. So if you have a belief system that you've been instilled in you for 20 some years, you know what I mean? And then after 20 years, I expect you to change your action. But if you have a subconscious belief from 20 years ago, how am I supposed to make you change your action?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's that, and I know if you're psychology major, you understand this subconscious and this conscious mind. You have such a deep belief system in your subconscious mind because your conscious mind is not supposed to is supposed to believe what's in front of you, right?
Right.
And then your subconscious mind is supposed to believe what you've been taught for so many years, like a muscle memory, like driving. Like I believe I push my gas. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that
Right.
type
Right.
of thing, or I believe that I can't make money, blah blah blah. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And then you start to ask people, like, well, why do you do that? You know what I mean? And then you think more deeply, oh, I do it because of this. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Of
So
course. I mean, if anybody's got any counter arguments, please let me know in the chat because
yeah,
I'd love
I
to
love
hear
that.
them.
Yeah,
I'd
me
love to
too.
hear counter arguments because right now we have cryptic with the emojis. We have Randall saying, if everybody thought the same, this world would be another Tower of Babel. That's true. And then he says, like, is the glass half full or glass half empty? I guess in relationship to belief systems. And then Dale saying, poor atheist getting shit on. That's not all right. Listen.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm never here to bash.
Listen. I'm not bashing anybody. The only issue that I have with atheists, and this is the issue, and I'm gonna make this clear, is that atheists place their faith. They claim to not have faith in something. And this is where I have an issue, is because they end up placing their faith into something else. And what is that something else? Science. And they say that science is the end all be all, and they place a lot of their faith in science. Because what is the new main theory that's going around in science amongst atheists? Simulation theory.
Right.
Simulation theory. Look, listen. If you believe in simulation theory, more power to you. Good for you. In my opinion, I think it's just God with extra steps. I mean, what is it? It's just it's a higher being that was evolved enough to create unevolved species and set it into motion. I mean, that's literally God with extra steps.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and like I said, you know, sometimes it is hard to mix science and religion, I guess you could say, or spirituality together. But when you look at it, like what you just said, you know, scientists, not all scientists are out there to like go against God, you know.
Right.
Scientists are out there to find, you know, like what happened in history or like different way, you know, actual good things. Now I'm very not like, I hate pharmaceuticals. I don't want to go into that conversation, but I don't like mainstream medications and all that stuff. But basically what I'm saying is, you know, you have scientists that come from so many different, I mean, building a phone. I mean, that a scientist would have to be a part of that, right?
Right, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many that's created this microphone, the opportunity for us to talk back and forth with each other. So when you think about it like that, and you think about it just opening your more of your creative mind in that way, and that's, you know, a cool way to think of it rather than it being atheist or not. I mean,
yeah, look, absolutely. And Wes says, plug me into the matrix. He says, I prefer to look at science and religion as two sides of the same coin. And listen, I 100% agree. I think that science is good. I think that science is a great thing, and we can learn a lot from what the world is, or at least a description of what the world is. Yeah, I think people conflate the two. I think people conflate a description for causality. And so, you know, people think that just because we have neurons floating around in our brain, that doesn't mean that it wasn't, you know, brought on by a higher power. And listen, I'm not trying to combat anybody's belief system. Again, we can have a whole separate podcast where we debate this. But I think that my problem is when people place faith in those systems. It's in favor of other religious systems, like as if that religion is bad, but science is it. Like this is it. Like this is science. And I'm all for science, 100%. I'm all for science. I love the study of neurons. I love the study of mirror neurons. I love the study of you know, how things connect, biology, evolution. I love that. And I think that's so interesting. But again, I think people conflate a description with causality. So
yeah, totally. I can agree with you on that for sure. Definitely. I mean, I don't know. It's just like people it's funny because a lot of people in religion, you know, it's like you have the Catholics against the Baptists and the, I don't even know what else there is, Presbyterian, what is the other, see, this is so bad.
Presbyterian, yeah.
Oh yeah, you know, Methodist, you have, like, this goes along with what you said, you know, well, but this church says I can't do this and that's where I struggle too as well. Like, I just have a heart, I don't know if that's the same thing, but that's how it is for me, is I struggle with that because it's like limitations, you know, you're
Right.
putting limitations on it, your religion or your life, I guess. But
Dell says, who saw that soapbox coming? Look, listen, if you subscribe to the multiverse theory, then it's somewhere in the multiverse, logistically speaking, there could be a God that transcends all multiverses. Just saying.
yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're an atheist and you subscribe to that, just saying. You know, I mean, there's a logistical explanations for all of this, so I know we're going down the soapbox.
I mean, who's to say God isn't the big, bright, shining light? You know what I mean? That's God right there. No, I'm just saying, you never know. You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just a complex problem to negotiate with atheists, and again, I'd love to have a conversation with an atheist just to better understand. I mean, they have some really good points that are really hard to debate.
Definitely.
I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of it comes down to subjectivity when you're talking to an atheist versus someone who's religious. It's, you know, based off of my anecdotal experience versus someone else's objective facts. You know, well, where's the fact for God? It's like, well, I don't have a fact for God except for the fact that I'm telling you that there's a fact for God.
Yeah, and you know, that actually just made me think of something, and that's where a lot of, you know, like holistic coaching or any sort of soul finding coaching, I guess you could call it, you know, everybody calls it something different. You know, a lot of people don't like really want to take, I don't think really want to like take the time to either like spend money to like be open-minded about, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only thing about being in a holistic field, is that there's people that as soon as I say anything about not being religious, they're like, oh, well, I can't work with you because, you know, you don't believe in this or whatever. So it gets kind of tricky. Like, I have to work with the right kind of people that are open-minded, you know what I mean, in this field. Like, it can be really tricky because like I said, a lot of people are like, well, what does holistic mean? You know what I mean? Like, why are you
right? And there's the other side of that coin, right? Where it's the overly religious people.
Right.
It's the overly religious people. And so, you know, just to, you know, be fair, it's like some of those overly religious people, it's like, come on, man. Like, maybe it's not overly, could be overly religious, but it's more of the fact that people will pick, it's that aspect that we were talking about earlier, that people will pick and choose specific aspects from their religion, and they'll use that, right, and they'll use that to justify their actions. And again, it's the same mechanism that's happening. It's that same belief system. It's that same, all right, these are my actions, these are my beliefs. My beliefs are easier to change than my actions. So, you know, I'm gonna hold true to this set in stone thing here, or pick and choose specific aspects out. Where, like, in the Bible, it talks about, you know, loving your fellow brother equally, no matter where they're from. But then people will use that to justify, or people will pick and choose in the Bible to justify the fact that, you know, they don't like immigration, or they don't like specific aspects of government policy. It's like, we don't have to get into politics or anything like that, but
no, I know what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating on both sides, not just the atheists, but damn it, the people that pick and choose, man. Damn.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally get it, because like we just mentioned earlier about when people pick and choose out of the Bible. Well, I believe this because the Bible said it, and that's what I'm going to follow, because if I don't, I'm going to, you know, be hung from my feet or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In the Bible. I'm not bashing the Bible, but that's what people do. Like they just believe it, and then they're like, no, like this is it because the Bible said it.
That's why. That's why. Again, I think my mom is probably the most consistent. Mom, you're still
That's
watching this.
awesome.
It's like she interprets the Bible like more literally than a lot of people. But when she's talking about when it says love your neighbor, she freaking loves everybody. Like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
no matter where they come from, she
Yes.
doesn't care what your background is, what your sin is. She doesn't care,
Yep.
you know, what even if you're a different religion, she doesn't care. It's like that's
Yeah, and
why
right.
I think
Yep,
my
and that's why your mom's just taking all the good, the love from the Bible, and she's spreading it to everybody else. That's what the Bible, I believe, is for. I believe it was meant to teach people the good word, and here you go.
that's why I respect like that that I respect that because
Yeah.
I don't. It's hard for me to respect the person that doesn't believe anything, says they don't believe anything, but really
Right.
does, and then the
Right.
person that says they believe in something but really doesn't. You know what I'm saying with the religious
Yeah.
person? You know,
Yeah.
they say they believe in the Bible, but then don't actually act it out. And then the
Yeah.
atheists that
Don't
says
live by it. Right.
yeah,
Yep.
the atheists that say they don't believe in anything but actually believe in something. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
consistent.
You believe in something. Like you have some sort of belief system, right?
Yeah, you're not consistent, man. It
Yeah.
makes me.
Yeah, and then you have, you could go on about people who have the mental health disorders, that take different aspects of before. I'm trying to think of what that show is. Dexter. I don't know if you watched it, but there was this guy that literally, like, he was a psychopath, a serial killer, and he remade oh my gosh, what's the worst part of the Bible? What's the worst one? The scary one, and oh my gosh, in the Bible.
Like the book, or are you talking about
Yeah.
Revelation?
Revelations. Oh my gosh, I was gonna say Renaissance. I'm like, that's not what Revelation.
Close enough.
Yeah, right. I'm like, that's not it, Katie. The Revelations, he like completely remade the Revelations in this show. And I'm just thinking, like, man, there are some people that just take it over the top. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they make it into real life.
Absolutely. And so we have Wes saying amen. Let's get it. Randall right before that said, they say if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. And then Wes saying, I was raised a Pentecostal Christian. No, not the ones that play with snakes. Essentially a super strict part of Christianity. As I grew older, I started to realize that people use the Bible to fit their narrative. The Christian Testament is basically broke down to love your neighbor like yourself, respect everyone. And again, it's that aspect that I think that. Okay, we'll skip that because we're running out of time here. So let's see. Crookyo joining us. I love you, Chandler. Chandler says, "Kiss me. I love you. I'll kiss you." Mwah. And then Cryptic. I don't know if I blinked for you, so there's the blinks. I know I'm gonna get hate for that later. And Dylan 1, Atheist 0. Woohoo! We got it. Nah, some atheist is gonna find this, and I'm gonna get hate mail up in the comment section. And be like,
I know. I'm like, you haters.
Oh my goodness! I'm like, dude, I want to have a conversation with you. I'm not trying to like just.
Right, let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, just talk about it, man. Let's talk. But everybody, this has been Miss Katee. Thank you so much. Let me get your Instagram and Twitter and whatever you use your use to stream or upload your platform on.
Yeah, do you want me to send that to you right? You want it right now, like tell it to you?
Yeah, so I can just send it to chat.
Okay, hold on, because I don't know it by heart. Is it okay? Is that bad?
Maybe a little.
Okay, I can give you let me give you my website because I just did that one.
Okay.
It's MillenConnects.com. So it's MILLEN and then just connects.com. That's the business that my fiance and I are running together.
Okay.
That's specifically for entrepreneurs, money mindset, that kind of stuff. It ties in what I do with being successful.
Absolutely.
With money. So there's that. And then, like I said, I redid everything. That's why I don't remember it.
Yeah, you're fine. No worries.
Let me just give you guys, so I'll give you guys that. And then I'll give you my Facebook. I'll just give you my Facebook since that's what I'm mostly on.
It's just the Katee, and your last name, right? Katee Welte. Is that correct? Oh, we lose her? Oh, we lost her! Last minute! No! Guys! Guys, we lost. Oh, wow. We went the whole podcast and we still, oh my goodness. Oh, we went the whole podcast and we had her. Let me send her an invite real quick just to make sure she's still good. Oh no, I don't know her email. I'm gonna have to go grab that, guys. Can we get some L's in the chat? Oof. Let me get some L's in the chat for that, because we made it through the whole podcast with no errors. We had it. Well, thank you everybody for coming out. Yeah, for real. Yeah, this is awkward. This is awkward, guys. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for daydreaming with us. Oh man. So yeah, I just sent an invite. See if she gets it. I don't know what happened. Her name is Katee Welton on Facebook. Katee Welte. Sorry, not Welton. Welte on Facebook. Go ahead, go drop a follow. Go show some love. Can you call me after the podcast? Yes, I can. I will make sure I give you a call in just a second. Guys, I'm going to raid Dank Oregano. So thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate everybody in chat. You guys are fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you, everybody. We got Sammy. We got Randall. We got Dell. We got Garen. We got... That's it. So thank you. Are we still live? Yes, we're still live, technically. Technically, yes. I love you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We're going to hashtag, or not hashtag, but / raid Dank Orejano ETV. I always forget the T. So we're going to hit that. Everybody, thank you for having a great night and great conversation. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you drop that hashtag Dream Team if you're over there on Twitch. I love each and every single web. It's getting late. I love you guys. Hashtag Dream Team. Good night.